Some folks are calling for his job. What do we think is going to happen next there?
It's a really, really tough time to be an Aggie right now. And I will say this: if we don't go and beat up on the Gators this week, I find it very, I'll throw a couple bones down on the side, Max, if you want to.
We will talk after the show.
If they don't go beat Florida this week, I have a very hard time seeing any way that they make a bowl game.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that you have number one overall recruiting class. You have multiple years in your position. You're in the SEC West. You got all the money, all the headlines, everything everybody's talking about. And you're not going to make a bowl game. And you had guys preseason saying that you were a
title contender.
Not even a dark horse contender, that you were a real contender for the national title, and you're not going to make a bowl game. That's tough to swallow. And if I'm Jimbo Fisher, I'm sitting here going, is this me? Am I not doing what Josh Heupel's doing? Am I staying in my own way? Do I need to have somebody else call the plays? I would look myself in the mirror if I was Jimbo and that staff and just try and figure it out. That said, I like Jimbo Fisher. I think Jimbo Fisher has a lot of qualities that you want in a head coach. But at the end of the day, what does anybody care about? Wins and losses. We talk about all the nitty-gritty on this show and across the country, but at the end of the day, if you're winning football games, nobody cares about the offense you're running. Nobody cares about the meal you eat before the game. Nobody cares about your off-season program. They care about, oh, that's the best coach in the world. He does everything right because they're winning games. And when you're losing, boy, does it stack up on those shoulders, and people come after you hard. It gets real heavy, Michael.
Yeah. Okay, Max, give me your thoughts on A&M, and then take us into Auburn, a new job that's opened up, and who you think fits there. So go A&M and then talk Auburn.
All right. Well, A&M. Well, Trevor, I had that Texas A&M Arkansas game. So I saw Texas A&M up and close, and in fact, Anthony Lucas, one of your stud freshman DNs, right out here where I live, Chaparral High School kid.
Yep.
I used to run into him in the grocery store, like great young kid. It's so young, but my biggest question I have for Texas A&M, for Jimbo, is you were brought in as a quarterback whisperer. You were brought in as the guy who knew how to get that top recruit. How are we still sitting here 3 years later and Haynes King is your best option in-house? You brought in Max Johnson from LSU. Why have you not gotten that 5-star recruit in that number one class that can come and make an instant impact now?
Max, I don't even need a 5-star recruit.
But what I'm saying, but if you're going
to
have
NIL, hang on. We got a lot. Okay, Trevor, go ahead.
We started a 5-star recruit this past week in Connor Wigman, and he looked really good. Now, we lost the game, but Ole Miss is no slouch, and we were a couple plays away from getting a win. Connor Wigman, in his first start, was efficient. He moved the ball around. It looked like an offense. Did we still lose the game? Are there a lot of things to clean up? Yes. But to your point, Max, why did it take so long to get there? Why did we bounce back to Haynes King and bounce around a bit? That tells me
Haynes King was a 5-star kid.
He was, but hey, if you're not getting it done, let's go. Let's move on.
The question for me is, why isn't he getting it done? If you're the quarterback whisperer, how are you not elevating what he's doing? This guy, I know he had a couple of, what did he have? 2 interceptions against Sam Houston State?
Yeah.
And he probably should have had 5.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the part. I think about the same thing with Michigan, right? How thrilled are we with Michigan's quarterbacks when Jim Harbaugh's supposed to be a quarterback whisperer?
Yeah. And here's a good way of putting it, Michael, in my opinion. If Jimbo is supposedly a quarterback whisperer, sure, strike out on one guy. Let's say Haynes King, he just wasn't it.
That's a miss. Sure.
But Max Johnson looked worse this year than he did at LSU.
Exactly.
and now you're moving on to your true freshman who verdict's still out. Played decent in this last one. It was his first start. Who knows? His head was spinning the whole game. You guys know how that is. He was out of body experience the whole game. He didn't settle in. We'll see it this next week. But I'm with you guys. He got underperformance out of his starter who won off season and camp, who obviously was playing the best ball, and then he got worse production out of a guy that has played not at a high level, I wouldn't say, out of Max Johnson, but at a high enough level to win football games. So I agree with you.
So here's the thing. So listen, I want to close the book on A&M because I don't want to sound like we're like slamming on them. They just got a lot of work to do, and winning this weekend is the start of the work they have to do.